Hello, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're about to start. If you want to leave in the chat where are you from and from where are you watching us, we're happy to have you all here. And also, if you can answer the poll that should appear on your screen, so we get to know you better and we know if you are already an existing Real Estate IQ subscriber and if you would like to have a one-on-one consultation of our services. So this way we get to know you better. Thank you again, everybody, for being with us today. Okay, so thank you again, everyone, for joining us today and welcome. We're happy to have you here today. Thank you, Jay, for sharing. We have people from St. Louis. Feel free, everybody, to keep on sharing. We have more than 500 webinars hosted, more than 100 keynote speakers, and more than 12,000 registered attendees. And who we are a lead generation software and solutions company focused on helping real estate investors kickstart their business. So we strive to become the platform and resource to help them achieve their real estate dream. In what we do, we provide real estate solutions to make deals come true. We offer a suite of lead generation automation tools, educational content, and additional services to the real estate industry to help entrepreneurs kickstart and grow their business. So this is the streamline of our solutions. So we offer you off-market leads to find the freshest data mine straight from the card houses daily on our data portal. We have also, apart from events, REI education led by experts and training on our solutions. We also offer you skip tracing, get homeowners contact information effortlessly. We also offer you CRM, perfect to track listings and marketing campaigns. We also offer you virtual assistance, virtual support for administrative tasks, customer service, and more. Fire, personalized financial checkups and consultancy. EVA run real estate comes in seconds with our renewed evaluation CMA. CLM, we now provide custom off-market data mining all over 50 states. And last but not least, we also offer you our membership tailored plans to meet every investor's need. So this is the deal of the day. You can scan the QR code. Today, we bring you this golden lead to grow your business. So you can contact us to learn more. You can sign up to get the full address and submit your deals to advertise. So this is the pre-foreclosure, your action date, and this amazing opportunity. And you can also join us in our newsletter so you can stay informed with Real Estate IQ's weekly newsletter, get market insights, set updates, and event highlights. All you need for successful real estate investments. You can scan the QR code so you don't miss any of our weekly webinars and in-person events. You can also request a consultation by scanning the QR code. You can get a complimentary 30-minute in-depth one-on-one demo of Real Estate IQ's solutions with one of our experts. We'll walk you through everything you need to know. So for more information, please contact bracenet@realestateIQ.co. And also you can answer the poll that should appear now in your screen. And these are our social media accounts where you can follow us as well. We are in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you can use the QR codes that appear below of each icon so you can join us in our community. And this is our academy, Learning Made Easy. Here you can find our best webinars and short courses so you can stream it at any time and from wherever you're based. You can log in to stream. And I don't want to make it longer. We have Arnie Abramson talking about Texas foreclosure actions are asked. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about him. He's a CEO and founder of Texas Tax Sales Resource Group LLC. He brings over 3 decades of expertise to Texas real estate investments with a career spanning financial planning and vice presidency at a national real estate company. He transitioned into real estate investment in 1992. Arnie is nationally recognized for his knowledge of Texas tax deed sales. He has served as the president of the Texas Real Estate Investors Association and as a co-founder of the Ray Expo, now known as Think Realty. Under his leadership, Texas Tax Sales Resource Group LLC provides comprehensive services to investors interested in acquiring Texas properties through tax and trust sales spanning the entire state and catering to investors worldwide. So thank you, Arnie, for joining us today and sharing your expertise with us. We're super thankful for having with us today.
Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here again. Let me see if I can get this rolling for us. Is that visually okay on your end?
I can see you. I still can't see your screen yet.
Oh, you
Let's see if
cannot?
we can. No, but let's see if we can make it.
Yeah, I've put it up already.
I
Don't
will
have
let
to.
you know. No, I will let you know once we can.
Okay. Meanwhile, this is the first time I've used this Texas Tax Foreclosure Auctions, or us. I just thought try a little different approach to it. It's going to be a little different from the last few we've done, and I think your audience here will find it a little different. And by the way, I love questions, so I think most people prefer to wait until we're done when we are. And this presentation is a little shorter than the other ones because I anticipate there will be some more questions. So I wanted to leave a little room. So how are we doing on the video?
Not yet.
Okay. I thought I did the share screen, but if we can go back, I can try that again. Should we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Better if we do that. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end show and I'll do share. There you go. All right, now that should be.
Now we can do it. Yeah.
Okay, let me get started. There, how's that?
Perfect. Now we see.
Okay, well, we passed that test, family. Okay, here we go. Why foreclosure auctions anyway? They're more complicated than almost everything else. There's more work to working it. It really results because of that in less competition. And we're able to get to more properties at better prices. Just to prove it, at the tax sale in Texas 6 days ago, our company attended 17 different county auctions, all at the same time. We won properties in 12 of those 17 counties. More than 30 properties we bought for our investors at that sale. And last year, we purchased over 200 properties for them. And we expect to double that this year. We believe we can do more than that if we have more members to attend more auctions and share the benefits with us. Now, why Texas? Well, take a look at this. I mean, everything's going on in Texas, right? But Texas is not just one of these states that people think about. And a lot of you, I hope, are from Texas. But I just uncovered something really unusual to kind of give you a sense of what Texas is really about. Look at Texas compared to the whole country of Russia. Texas has a population of and this was in 2018. Now we're over 30 million, but then it was 29.3 million, and Russia had 144 million. But the gross domestic product, the GDP in Texas, was 1.7 trillion, and all of Russia was 1.28 trillion. And the GDP per capita in Texas was 58,000, 6 times greater than that in Russia. So Texas has got a lot going for it. That very unusual kind of looking at that for that, I thought. Now, outstanding real estate fundamentals in Texas. Look, we have a high population growth, even before California started moving here. Statewide housing shortage back then too, and even worse now. Increased demand for housing and no personal state income tax, which is very attractive to Californians and other states. Employment opportunities are unbelievable. Plenty of land. Very friendly, family friendly. And this was the surprise. In diversity, California was the most diverse state, but Texas was number 2. Just incredible. And it's a very unique foreclosure structure. And that's what this is all about. Now, what is a real estate foreclosure? Just a quick review. It's a property that's sold because the owner has not made his payment for his taxes or for a mortgage. One or the other, or sometimes both. It could be a vacant lot, it might be acreage, could be a mineral right, or any other form of real estate. Now, foreclosed for not paying the property tax, that's a tax sale. That's what we call a tax sale. If they're foreclosed on for not paying their mortgage, we call that a trustee sale, also known as a bank foreclosure. So those are the 2 main foreclosures that all happen at the same time. Now let's start with the tax foreclosures. Every state has their own system. There are tax lien states. In those states, the taxes are owed is a lien. It's a tax lien. And that lien is what they sell in the tax lien states. And the buyer doesn't get the property. He collects the payments for that lien that they owe and the interest. And if they stop paying, then he has to go to foreclosure if they don't pay. Most of them do pay, and most of them get paid off. In fact, all the gurus in the tax lien states will tell you 90% of them, get paid. So that's great. Now, that's a tax lien state. Then there is the tax deed state, where the property is sold at the auction, not the lien. The lien is paid off because the minimum bid starting at the auction for the property is how much they owe on that lien. And the bidding goes up from there. And whoever wins it, the buyer owns the foreclosed property. He gets a deed to it, and he has full ownership rights. So about half the states are tax lien states, about half are tax deed states. Texas is a tax deed state. If a real property owner does not pay his taxes in Texas, the county, or any one of the taxing entities, the city, the school district, any of them, they can file a lawsuit to collect the unpaid taxes. And then a judgment is rendered, and the owner of the property is given the opportunity to pay the taxes owed. But not only he, but anybody who is on that deed. And if the owner died, then everyone in his heirship, all of his heirs have to be contacted and given the opportunity to pay before they can even schedule it for a tax sale. And then if the back taxes are still not paid, then the property is held by the unit, will be sold at the auction. So that's sort of an interesting, convoluted way they do it, but it does. Texas has 254 counties. So every month we're going to have between 40 and 90 counties holding an auction. Not all of them will, because some of the counties don't have as many people as we have on this call, but they're not going to have them every month. But most of them will have them several times a year. And generally it's between 1,000 and 2,000 properties for sale every month. Now, in Texas, you get a tax deed. It is a foreclosure. In Texas, you buy ownership of the property at the sale. The previous owner only has one right. It is not ownership anymore. It is not title to the property. It is not his privilege to occupy unless the new owner allows it. He is not entitled to any rent. Only right he has is to redeem the property at a profit to you if you bought it. Now, what is redemption? It means different things in different places. In the Bible, it certainly means something different, but even in this arena, it means something different. In a tax lien state, it just means they pay off that loan, that lien. It's paid off. You know, they were paying it to the guy who bought the lien. Now it's paid off. That's called a redemption. But not in a tax deed state. Tax deed state, the right of redemption, the guy who lost the property, the owner, has the right to buy it back from us if we bought it at the sale, but he has to pay us what we paid for at the sale plus a penalty fee. And only a few of the tax deed states have these rights of redemption, only 6 or 7 of them. Now, in Texas, if they redeem it, they have to pay us back what we paid at the auction and all the costs involved in that transaction, plus 25%. If it's in the first year, it's not prorated. If you buy it on a Tuesday and they redeem it on Thursday, they have to pay you the full 25% also. Some rehab expenses could also be included. While you owned it, if you did some improvements that are necessary, actually in the tax code it said to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property. If you can prove that, then any of that you spend money on, they have to pay us back for that too, plus 25%. Now, that's not upgrades. You can't take the countertop and say, oh, it's Formica, I want it to be granite. That's not to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property. So that would not be included, but a hole in the roof is fixed, certainly would, and things like that. Now, is there a time limit on that redemption? Well, it's 180 days, 6 months we call it, but 180 days, unless the property that you bought has a homestead exemption, or it's agriculturally, it's pasture or something, has an agricultural exemption, or it's a mineral right that has been severed, cut off from the land itself, separated. In any one of these instances, they have 2 years to redeem it. And if it's in the second year, it's 50%, because it's 25% for each year. So that's pretty interesting. Imagine buying a property and renting it out, and for 2 years, you're making cash flow on it. And if they buy it, you've got a profit built in. And if they don't, then you can sell it for even more. So if it's redeemed in the second year, it's 50%, as I said. Now, it could also include this work, that I said was necessary to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property. That's how it's written in the code. So that's good stuff. We're happy about that, as my assistant is here. Now, how does it work? What are the steps involved? That's what you need to know. And I got to tell you, the steps are steep. Take a look. Those are steep steps, right? Okay, here's how it looks. Here's the whole process in summary. Number one, you have to find out which counties are having a sale next month. We're still finding out for April right now. We've got about 30 of them. 30 of the counties have already announced, but every day some new ones will come along for the April 2nd sale. Then you have to get a list of the properties in each of the counties that you're interested in. And then you've got to research once you see the properties, this one looks pretty good. Then you got to do a little research to find out what how many square feet does it have if it's a house, how many bedrooms, how many baths, how big a lot, is it occupied, is it vacant? A lot of questions. And then after you get those questions answered, you do a calculation. You know, you got to do the number crunching. How much am I going to bid? Do I want to rent it out? How much? All that kind of stuff. And then, and this is essential, somebody's got to go take a look at that property. It can be you, or it could be someone you send, and they got to take a picture, because the pictures you see on Zillow, or on anywhere, they could be 2 years old. They could be 2 months old. You don't know what they look like today unless somebody goes and looks. It could be burned down. But then you will also want to find out, is it vacant? Is it occupied? What does the roof look like? What's the street like? What's the neighborhood like? Is it close to any schools? What's the major road? There are a lot of things that you need to check out when you're there. And then you have to decide, what's the most I would bid on each property? The most. And then you have to prepare for the auction. Now that sounds like, oh, great, I'll go prepare. What do I have to do? Well, first of all, which auction are you going to out of the 40 or 50 or 60 different counties? They're all at the same day. So that's the number one preparation. How far away is it? Where is it? Well, it's usually at the courthouse or at the on the steps of the something like that. But sometimes it's online. Why would you go all the way out there and find out it's online? So you've got to prepare that. And then you've got to find out, well, do they require a certificate? There was a law passed a couple of years ago in Texas that counties that have 250,000 or more people, you must, before you can bid at the auction, you must get a certificate that certifies that you do not owe back taxes in that auction, in that county. Well, that's great on the big cities, but now some of the smaller cities have also requiring that. The law says if you've got 250,000 or more, you have to, but it also says any of the other counties can, and a lot of them are going to, and are doing it already. And then it's how long in advance do you do it? Some of them let you do it right before the sale. Sale starts at 10 o'clock, they'll let you do it at 9 o'clock. Some of them want 5 days before the sale. I know of one that wants 10 days before the sale. And if you forget it and don't get it on time, you can't bid at the auction. So there's a lot of preparation. And then you have to arrange for how to participate. If you want to bid in more than one, you're going to one, who are you going to send to the other one? And how are you going to do that? So those are interesting questions. And then if you win the bid, they all have different rules on how to make payment. They all have to be the same day. Some counties will say, okay, I'll give you an hour. Another one will say, I'll give you till 4 o'clock. Another one will say at 3 o'clock. So you have to find all that out in advance. And not only that, find out where the closest bank is. Now, you could go there with a lot of cash, but most people don't. They want to do money orders or cashier checks or something, but you don't know how much you're going to win the bid for. So the system usually is go to the bank, get the cashier check, come back, make the payment. And then before you leave the auction, you better find out, number one, where do I take it? Because you come back to where the auction was, they're gone. So before you leave that auction, you've got to find out, where do I take the payment? It may be at the law firm, it may be at the appraisal district, but even before that, what if you got to the bank and you say, okay, I need to get some cashier checks? They say, okay, how do you want it made out? Oh my God, I forgot to ask them. So there are a list of things you have to do before you leave the auction to prepare so you can make the payments on time. Then you win the bid, you paid it off, you've got the deed coming, and you've got a receipt that shows it. You go to the house. What do you do now? Well, hello, I just bought your house. What are you going to do? You know, and once you decide what to do, you may want them to stay and pay rent. You might want to evict them. You've got to wait 20 days before you can give them an eviction notice and do that. But Yeah, there are a lot of things. And then once you do it, you got to wait for the deed because the county's supposed to send it to you. And sometimes they'll do it in 2 or 3 days, sometimes in 2 or 3 weeks. Every one of them is different. And you want to get insurance on it. What we suggest you do, you also get an inspector to go out to the house right away and tell you what it needs to do to bring it up to code. That way, should they redeem it, you can prove that all the stuff you did was legitimate and they have to, pay you back for that plus 25% also. So there's a lot to do with it. And there are other things too. What are you going to do? Well, what's the rent in the neighborhood or whatever it is. So it's a very interesting process. Now, is that all? That's all there is to it. Nothing to it. You can go out and do that on your own, right? It didn't mention where do you go to do all this stuff. So that would be another class, I guess. Now, as an investor, there are 3 ways that you can score at the tax sales in Texas. Number 1, you can do it all yourself. We'll teach you if you wish. We'll teach you everything to do. We have classes with all kinds of things. Or we can do it all for you. Or we can do just the parts, the things that you don't want to do. Let's say you do want to bid on your own. We could go and preview the property. Or you might want to preview the property, we'll go bid for you. If you want to bid in more counties than one, we can bid for you in the other ones. So those are the choices you have. Just pick 1 or 2 and moving on. Now, those choices are as an investor. If you're an investor, you have all those choices. That's what we do. We're a service company for investors. But there's another choice. Not as an investor, but as a member investor, a member of our organization investor. It kind of says it all, doesn't it? Okay. We will address that a little bit later, but keep that in mind. No, because it doesn't matter how you choose to profit at the foreclosures, whether with us or on your own or whatever. There are some challenges. And you may think the challenges are always bad news, but bad news can be good news. Let me demonstrate. It's not necessarily always true, but one thing challenges do, they reduce the competition. If there's something troubling people and they keep away, that reduces the competition. We love complications because it keeps away competition. Examples of some of the challenges, just a couple, right? Number 1, there are 40 to 90 counties every month. Where do you get the info? And how laborious is it to get it? Or if they require it and it's El Paso and you're in East Texas, that's a pretty good ways out, So most of them you have to attend or have someone attend for you. And the research. How are you going to research when they've got 800 properties out this month and you're still going through them? I mean, that's tough to do all that research. I know because we do it. And the viewing, you cannot rely on those pictures online because, as I said, they could be 6 months old. They could be a lot of things. And the pricing. Lately, the prices have been out of sight. That's a real challenge. I mean, they've jumped big time. I'm sure everywhere, but also in Texas, as most of you know. Cash only. You cannot get a title policy on property tax sale properties. So guess what? It's all for cash. You got to have cash the day of the auction. No mortgages, no loans, no legal lender will loan you. Maybe you can find some private money that might, but they won't loan it. And an inspection. You'd love to inspect the house before you buy it, but it's really not easy to do on the tax sales because the counties put out these warnings. Do not disturb the people in the properties. and competition. It is incredible. On the online properties, that means you're competing against the world. Anybody, anywhere can bid online. Now, most of them are still not on. And the competition has gotten to be incredible. In the little county I live in, there used to be 6 or 8 people that go to the county, sales, tax sales. Now they're 40, 50. It's crazy. Because when COVID came along, a lot of people discovered, they were at home, they started looking, and they found out about the tax sales. And it got to be really competitive. And the demand has gone up tremendous too. And paid off. What does that mean? That means, for example, in one of the big city counties last month, they had listed, 44 properties at a sale. I think it was McLennan County where Waco is. 44 counties, 44 properties at the county sale. When you got to the sale, there were only 11 out of the 44 left. All the rest got paid off early. How does that happen? Well, there are some legal lien lenders out there who are sending postcards to the people who have their properties listed at the tax sale. And they're saying, hey, we'll loan you the money, no payments for a year. Yeah, a lot of people gobble them up. In fact, we ran into quite a few of them, and we had a lady call us a couple of weeks ago. She said, I did that. My mother lives in this house, and she didn't keep paying the taxes, and it was $7,000. So I got this postcard, and I called the company, and they loaned us $7,000 a year ago. And now they called me, and they said, okay, the year is up. We need $21,000. So we try to warn some of these people about this, and we have alternatives. Same day, all the counties, same day. Interesting. Most 90%, 95% of them are in the morning. A few are in the afternoon. Payment, same day, all cash, no financing available. You cannot always determine whether or not it's occupied or vacant, because sometimes it's so far off the street, you can't really tell. And you don't want to get too close, because this is Texas. Somebody come knocking at the door, that's okay. But when 10 or 12 people do it, I'm coming to the door with a shotgun. Yeah. And redemption. The redemption precludes some of these potential improvements that you want to make during the redemption period. If you're not careful, and it doesn't fall into that description that they have in the tax code, that you can, to make sure that they are something vital to the house, to maintain, preserve, and safe keep the property. You have to be able to prove that. Then if they buy it back from you, they have to pay you that plus a 25% too. But again, if I say, as I told you earlier, if it's something frivolous like, oh, we're going to upgrade the countertop, they don't have to pay you for that, and you've lost it if they redeem it. That costs you money. And finally, the title insurance, 2 years minimum. Some title companies want 4 years after the sale before they'll give you a title policy, but 2 years is pretty standard. Well, that's pretty interesting. That doesn't mean you can't sell it. Question, though, is who's going to buy it without title insurance? Now, we will, and our investors will in many cases, because we understand that when you buy the property at the tax sale, it wipes out the government, anything that's not a government lien gets wiped out, including the mortgage. So we can then check and see if there are any government liens still on it. And government liens don't have to be all IRS liens. It could also be some local county liens that they cut the grass for 6 years and $12,000 have accumulated in liens and stuff like that. So there are local and state and possibly federal, all government liens. So you have to be careful of it. The good news is we know how to deal with all these things I just went over because we've been doing it for a while and we have the know-how, the experience, the ability, and the expertise. So let's touch on the bank foreclosures now. There are some similarities and some differences. When are they, for example? The tax sales are always on the first Tuesdays. I say always, there are two exceptions. There are two national holidays that could fall on a Tuesday. Not Labor Day, that's always on a Monday. Not Christmas, because that's not a national holiday. The two national holidays are 4th of July, Independence Day, and New Year's Day. And if they ever become on a Tuesday, then they will have the sale the next day. It'll be the first Wednesday. Now, every month, first Tuesday of the month, unless it's this national holiday, there'll be a tax sale. And same time as the trustee sales. And guess what? At the same place. Just and some of them are at the same exact time, but most are not. And I told you that it is the next day if it's one of those holidays. Now, what time? Well, the tax sales, most of them are at 10 o'clock in the morning. Some are at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Now, the trustee sales, or sometime, they'll sometimes between 10 and 1 will be there, or between 1 and 4. They give you a 3-hour span there. And sometimes they don't even show up. We were tracking a property we wanted at the trustee sale a few months ago, and we went 4 months in a row when they were supposed to be there and never showed up. They got busy. Usually these trustees get assigned several different counties, and if they get held up at the one before yours, they may not make it there, or whatever other reason. You'll see why in a minute. So if they don't show up, it's pretty frustrating. Now, how are they conducted? Well, the tax sales, pretty much auctions, right? And the trustee sales, wow. And by the way, on the tax sales, most of them are in person, but some are on. And they're at very specific times. Like I said, 10 o'clock or 1, whatever. Trustee sales, they also can be in person, and they have a few of them online. And they give you that 3-hour window if they show up at all. So who conducts them? The tax sale, it's usually a county official. It might be the sheriff, the constable, or some other officer of the county, or could be somebody from the law firm. Now, the trustee sale, a trustee appointed by the mortgage company or other type of lender. And they're always going to be impeccably dressed and really cool, trustworthy looking people, right? Oh, well, this guy's there all the time. What can I say? Some are selected, some selected similarities and differences. The tax sales have a right of redemption. We've covered that. The trustee sales do not have a right of redemption. The tax sales, no title policy for 2 years. The trustee sales, right away, you can get insurance. I'm sorry, you can get a title on it. You can get title insurance right away. There is no problem getting title policy with the trustee sales because after all, that's what they have. They have a mortgage. That's what they foreclosing on. Now, at the tax sales, remember I said it deletes all the liens that are not government liens. That's not true. And payment has to be the same day. That's not true for trustee sales. They don't knock off anything. So you need to check the liens. Now, the liens that are junior to the mortgage would be wiped out, but not any others. And the payments have to be made instantly. As soon as they say sold, you have to give them cashier checks right then, made out to you, and you endorse it. That's how they do it. Now, multitudes of competition at the tax sales. I mean, We went to one in the Waco area the other day. There were over 100 people. Now, at the trustee sales, there's less competition. But when there is competition there, they're very prepared. They're big money players. And these are guys that, and women that they know what they're doing. So it's not, you don't see, as you do at the tax sales, a lot of people who are there for the first time and that kind of stuff. It's very few, because not everybody's going to sit around and wait all. Now, at the tax sales, it's easy to get their opening bids. They publish it. This is the opening bid. Not so with the trustee sales, because it's the balance that they owe on the mortgage and any expenses that they're going to put on there. And they don't just publish it. You have to dig for it and kind of estimate yourself. Now, the tax sales, they schedule this publicly. It's going to be at 10 o'clock. The trustee sales, hit or miss. They may or may not even show up. They'll give you that 3-hour window. So it's a little similar and different. Now, how is this different from our program? How is our program different from all the other programs out there trying to get you to join or buy the training program and all this stuff? We're pretty unique. And remember, the 3 main activities that we talk about: visiting the properties, the potential properties, attend the auctions, bid and win the auctions, and transition the properties to the buyer. Those are the 3 main things. Well, we Zoom and field train you, if you're going to be in our program, for these activities. We teach you to do it on Zoom, in classes, and in the field. You get paid for doing them. You get paid when you go out to, even if it's to buy for yourself. While you're there, look at some of the other properties and get paid for it. You get paid for doing what you should do for yourself anyway. And you might make some money on the ones that you buy for yourself. Now, our membership is $7,500, but we have a provisional for $900. It's different. And by the way, that's a lifetime deal. It's forever. We split 50-50 on all the revenue generated with our priority members. So sometimes, and we paid over $22,000 out last week to our members that went to the sales. Priority members are paid in cash. The provisionals get credit towards the priority membership. For example, if they go out on what we call an early bird and they take pictures and put a flyer up on 10 properties in one of the big cities that we don't go to, by the way, but we're going to still give them an opportunity to call us, we give them $50 credit for every one of those. That's $500 for a couple hours of work just to put that out there. And that goes towards that membership. So that's pretty interesting. This allows you to, what we call, dip your toe in the water before jumping in, because $7,500 is a lot of money. And you don't know me, and you don't know if everything I'm telling you is the way it is. It is, but you don't know that. And you don't know even if you like doing what our program is. If you go out to preview properties, or you may not like to go to the auction, or whatever it is. So this gives you an opportunity. That's why I really think the provisional is the way I would really do it. Some people who are out of state go for the whole deal, and other people who just want to, who have a lot of money and they want to do it, they'll do the priority membership. But the provisional is a way to do it. And by the way, you can start off with provisional and you do it for a while, and then you can say, oh, this is great. And then you can pay the difference and do it, because there are advantages. So the membership, by the way, both of them, it includes what we call our Learn and Earn program. And it's just that, because we're going to have those online classes, and then we're going to do field training. And then we have discounts on all our services, big discounts for our members, and some deals we run across before the sale. Remember, I told you we put out those flyers. Sometimes they call us and we can buy the properties before the sale. And when we do, we offer it to our members. And we have rewards for them to refer other people. And we have investment groups. Some of our members, they're just getting started in real estate, and they don't have 200,000 or 300,000 to go out and do that. They might have 5,000, 10,000, 15. So we have pools that we're putting together with some of our smaller amounts, like minimum of 10,000 or 15,000, and we'll show them what the properties are, and they can buy in for a percentage of it, so they can get their portfolios going. And we have personal guidance. When you call us, you don't get a recording that says someone will get back to you in a week. You get me, or you get my partner, or one of our other officers, because we give out our cell phone number. Now, we have one number that goes to all of us, and someone will get back to you immediately if we're tied up or something. But we want to be on a one-on-one basis. That's why we started off years and years ago with much lower priority membership fee, but it grew because of two things. Number one, we kept adding services and adding value, but also we wanted to keep it so that we don't have multitudes of people. We want to work with the people one-on-one. Someone asked me the other day, so you've been doing this a long time. What do you consider is the thing that you like the most about this whole business that you're doing? And I said, it's the relationships you build with people and that you have and maintain for years. And that's it, really. And it's fun doing these things with people. You're like-minded. You have stuff that here's something that you're all doing the same thing together. And it's great. And I have hundreds of friends out there because of that. And it's really neat. And exclusive financing. We have some financing. Remember, I told you can't get one. We've got some private lenders that will do some stuff. We're hoping to expand that very soon. And we have some special programs that are only available to our members. Member-only deals. And we're expanding so fast now. We need some people coming in that have the opportunity to help us move, and so there are opportunities. So feel free to call me with any questions or for more information. And there's my cell number. That's my cell number directly to me. And I kept my promise, kept it under an hour so we can have time for questions. So let's have them. I think there's something I have to click on to be able to see them, but I haven't figured it out yet. Let's see.
Okay, so we have
Go ahead.
We have some questions here. Okay, John is asking, do people overbid on desirable homes?
If we overbid, I'm sorry, what?
So do people overbid on desirable homes?
I'm not understanding what the question is.
He's asking if people overbid on desirable homes.
Overbid on desirable.
Oh, well, it depends on what you mean by overbid. I can tell you at the sale last week that we did, we bought all those properties, and on average, the average farm were all significantly lower than 70% of assessed value. Now, one or two of them were over, but they were very small. They might have dropped the price on it, the assessed value, because nobody had bought it before, and so they drop it very low. It's a vacant lot, and maybe be 4,000, and somebody might have paid 6,000. But on paper, that means that it's 150% of assessed value. But that's why we don't do it on individual. We just take all of them. I can tell you that they're not overbid if you're talking about if they go over, as a rule, over the value of the properties. That answer is no. Now, depending on what your maximum bid would be, you know, and what you're looking for and the type of property, because they're all different. You know, it's different from a vacant lot versus 100 acres, or a house with that's occupied versus one that needs a lot of rehab. So, and it's a subjective thing. You know, people ask me all the time, what's the value of a property? And define value. What does it mean? The real honest value of a property is what a buyer will buy it for, and the seller has agreed to sell it for that. But that you don't get in advance. That's only when it happens. So it's a long answer to a short question. My apologies, but it's a tough one.
He also asked if is there still a backlog of actions from COVID times?
A backlog of a lot of properties.
Actions for COVID, anything that COVID is still.
Well, not really. When COVID came along, it increased a lot of new buyers after that, because, you know, but I don't think, if you're asking if it's affected the supply of properties on the sale, it has increased, but I don't know that COVID had anything to do with it.
Casey asked if they will get the slide of the recording. So if it's possible, Arnie, to maybe send the slides after the webinar to the list of attendees.
Well, if you recorded it, it's okay.
Yeah, we can send the recording. I don't know if you can send the presentation, maybe.
Oh, well.
If you prefer not, we can just send the recording.
Well, yeah. If you want the presentation, give me a call, because we don't give that out because people can alter it, and you know, it's not a good idea. I'll be happy to. Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. John also asked, how do the memberships work for someone out of state?
That's a great question. Most of the out-of-state people, it's tough to be a provisional, because you can't really work unless you come in. I had a guy who did that before. We had a guy in Tennessee, and he said, how do I want to be a provisional, and how do I get there? And so he came in and stayed in Texas for 3 weeks, and he went out and did all the stuff for us, and he earned his way to priority right away. And he went to the auction and all that. So that's an option, but generally speaking, it's tough to do that. But it has come up before, and we have some new people from other states. And so we're putting together some research things that we can teach them to do, that they can earn their way a little bit. So it's in the mix, and we're putting that together. Great questions. Give me a call and we can talk about it.
Also, what happens to the bid above the tax amount? Does it go to the owner?
Great question. Okay, let's suppose that somebody owes $40,000 on a $200,000 house, and it sells for $100,000. Well, there's $60,000 of overage there, and the old owner is entitled to that. Okay, and they don't always know it, but we go out of our way to help them find it. And they have to deal with it. They have to call the appraisal district to get it and all that stuff, or the law firm, or whoever it is. Now, I know there are some gurus out there who say, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll show you how to do it. And you know, they want to hire you and you call people and say, hey, I'll show you how to get the overage and all that good stuff. And then we'll split 50-50. Well, in Texas, the law is you cannot charge more than 25%, not to exceed $1,000, and you must be an attorney. Now, I
Okay.
think there's a way that you can do it if you really know what you're doing. If you're not an attorney, they prefer an attorney to do it. And some of the attorneys have figured out a way to charge a little more than 1,000 by billing you for time and stuff like that. But that's the way the law was written. So all that kind of stuff, where they give you all the hype about how much millions you can make and all that stuff doing it. Not in Texas.
Do multifamily come up often?
Not too often. If you get a big apartment complex and they're not making money, what do you think's wrong? I mean, the only way it would be is because it's dope infested or something, you know. There's a tremendous demand, but you don't see multifamilies very often at all. You might see a couple of duplexes and triplex every now and then, but very few.
What are specialty tools we get if we purchase the priority membership?
I'm sorry, what?
What are especially tools we get if we purchase the priority membership?
Well, you get us. We'll work with you one-on-one and get everything you need. And our priority members are the ones that we train and we work with and we split with, and they go to the auctions and they're just all sorts of things that work. But as far as tools, they get access to anything we're doing. Now, it's when we go to the trustee sales, we're starting to do more and more of those now because the prices have gone up so high that almost everybody's got to have a mortgage now. And so the mortgage foreclosures, I think, are going to really just multiply. And so we're only going to have our priority members go to those auctions. Now, the provisionals will go to the tax sales too, and we teach them how to do that, but they have to be priority before we go to the other because there's a lot more money involved and a lot more training that we have to do for them.
As an out-of-state investor, what service do you offer and what do you charge for your service of bidding?
Well, it depends on what services you wish. We've got a whole schedule that we'll be happy to go over with you. Just give me a call and we can go walk through. You know, in today's world, everybody wants to text or they want to, email. And I got to tell y'all that there are no short answers in this arena. So if you really want to know something, call me. We'll talk. I promise I will. If I don't call you, leave a message. I will get back to you as soon as I'm off the phone. I want you to understand it because every question I'm going to come up with an answer and that will spark new questions. So it's so inefficient to text back and forth or even email back and forth in this particular arena. So please give me a call and you'll get me. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Katie asked, how many people are you working with now?
Well, that's a great question. We have on paper several hundred members, but many of them started 30 years ago or 25 years ago. A lot of them, they bought a property and then they're done. And 7 years later, they sold one and now they got another one. And we have a lot of people involved, but if you're worried about about that, in our sale last week, as I say, we previewed 200 properties. That means we went out and took pictures of 200. A lot of them got pulled from the sale before and all that, but we wound up buying over 30 of them. But we didn't have more than 10 bidders. And we rarely do, because we have some bidders that bid on a lot of properties and some bid on 2 or 3 counties. And also, it's not like, you're one of hundreds.
Where are you located in Texas?
Well, we cover the whole state. I'm in Hunt County. It's just east of Dallas.
Okay.
And
We
by
have
the way,
no.
excuse me,
Yeah, sorry.
let me add one thing. If y'all are really interested in doing this and you say, great, I think I want to bid in Dallas or Houston or Austin or San Antonio or Fort Worth, the big cities, forget it. Forget it. Because that's not, that's where all the action is, right? And that's where everybody is, because that's where there are a lot of properties for sale, all this good stuff. What you want to do is go where there's not that much competition. Our company, years ago, we were averaging 25% of all the property sold in Dallas County every month. And then I saw what was happening when new people were coming in, and there were in the hedge funds and everybody else, and the legal money launderers, the guys who were growing marijuana in Colorado, and they can't go to the bank with the money, but they could drive to Texas and win a bid and give it to the sheriff, and he says, here's the receipt, legally laundered, and they don't care what they pay for it. So all that goes on in the big cities. And so a few years ago, we decided, let's go where they're not. And the deals that we are making are in the smaller areas that are growing like crazy now, by the way. We have, my little favorite is the town of Fate, Texas. It's right next to Rockwall, which is just out of Dallas. And in the census in 2000, they had 602 people. They now have 28,000. How's that? And there's another town, several towns that in the last, 2024, in the last 4 years, well, from 2020 to 2022, some of them grew 40% and 20%. It's small towns, if they're on highways, they don't have to be interstates. If they're on good roads, they're growing in between the big cities. So,
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I'm sorry, Arnie. I was saying, thank you so much for sharing this with us. We don't have any more questions, but wait. Kathy says, if someone is out of town and we need you to do almost everything, is still worthwhile. And John says, how do you handle the funds in the action process?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, because you would think if we're going out to 12 different counties, what are we going to do? We send everybody out with cash? No. What we do is every one of our people going to the auctions, they have to have an account with one particular bank that we use. And they have branches everywhere. And the people who we're bidding for, we have to have the funds there. We'll give you all kinds of paperwork says we've got your funds here, and we're at the bank the day of the sale. Our bookkeeper is at the bank, and usually I'm there also. And as soon as someone wins a bid, they text us. We won the bid at this amount. We immediately go and put money in their account so they can go to that branch close to where they are, get the cashier's check, and then go make the payment. That's our process. And the funny thing is, the first time we did that, and then I came in the next month to the bank says, you can't do it anymore the way you did it. I said, what do you mean? He says, we've got an office for you over here we want you to use. So at the bank, every first Tuesday of the month, we have our own office at the bank. They couldn't be nicer. Anything else? Okay, well, I'm available to answer any questions. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me. You have that on the screen. You had it. And you have my number. Call me direct, and I'll be available for the next hour if anybody wants to call now.
Thank you so much. Last question from Katie. Is Waco considered a competitive market?
Where?
Waco? It's
Oh, Waco.
W
Yes.
Waco.
Waco
Sorry.
is an extremely competitive market because of the real estate people there that had the TV shows and all that stuff. And, as I said, McLennan County last month, that was Waco. They had 40-something properties and only 11 by the time the auction opened up. All the rest got paid off, and those 11 got scooped up big time, quickly. We were bidding on them, and we got, outbid. Now, we did expect that because it's one of the big cities. Really, I didn't mention it, but it's right in the Texas Triangle that 2/3 of the population is in. And we're going, we do really well in small areas, smaller areas, but also some of the smaller cities too. We did well in Abilene this month and in Lufkin, Lubbock, in addition to some of the smaller ones that you haven't heard of. So it's just the big cities are the ones that's where all the institutions and the big money is.
Last two questions. Randy asked, where would you say is the least competitive market?
It changes every month because, we're looking at, like right now, I'm looking at the map that I've color in which counties are having a sale. It's a whole different group every month. But Randy, here's the thing. It's not that the market is competitive. It depends on what they're offering. Because for example, we might have Leon County, for example. That's a competitive market. But 1 month they may have 30 properties, and 6 months later they may have 2 properties. And it kind of depends. If they only have 2 for sale at that one, and one of them is 43 acres and the other is a city block, that's not, it's a competitive market for somebody, but not for the average investor. So there's no answer to that question. That's why we have to look at every county and look at every property. And that's what we do, because anybody who's going to do that, they have to do it. Well, we do it for our investors, and we give them all this list with all the data for our members at no charge. Because why should we all have to do it if we're going to do it for you? And we send out every month. I send out to all of our members. Here's a list of, it's a spreadsheet on every county, and every county in that spreadsheet has got the data that you need to decide whether you want to look at this property or not. It's got the address, it's got the minimum bid, it's got the assessed value, and maybe some other things. And we update it every day because a new one might come on. But as we get closer and closer to the sale date, some of them get pulled because they get paid off from those guys who are sending out the lien lenders, And so we update it every day. So our members, they don't get the list, they get a link to it. And I update it every day. And so they know, our members know, and they don't have to do all that work because we're doing it for them.
How do you deal with multiple members wanting the same house?
How do we handle if they want the same house? Is that the question? If they want to bid on the same property?
Yeah.
We have a way to handle that. I'm not going to go into it, but our members will know. And it's not a problem. We found a way to make that work. But you know what? As I said, we bid in all these counties last month, and that's a proprietary answer, but all these counties that we went to on the one last week, I think there was maybe 4 properties that we had more than one bidder. There are just so many out there that are good that it's not a problem. And we know how to handle that, so everybody's happy with it.
And last question, how do you pull lists from the county?
How do we what?
How do you pull lists from the county?
Pull the list. How do we do it? Is that what
Yeah.
you're after? Yeah, well, you can do it. You just call all the law firms that represent every one of the counties and ask them to send you the list.
Okay, thank you, Arnie, for sharing your expertise with us. And thank you, everybody, for these
By the
amazing
way, let
questions.
me answer that better.
Sorry.
On our website, we have a list of every county, and this is free, every county and how many properties they have, so you can pick which ones to call. But we do all the work for our members, and we do it so they don't have to. But if you're not a member, you can go to the website and see which one.
Perfect. Okay, everybody, so feel free to text Arnie and give him a call as well. And thank you for attending today. We expect some future webinars. Thank you, Arnie, for being with us once again.
Well,
and we
thank you
expect
for having me.
again. It was
Thank you.
amazing, as always.
Thank you so much. I always
Have a
enjoy
good
it.
one. Thank you. Have a great week.
You too. Thank you. And all of you, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.